Hello, everyone. This is Southern Belle Whisper. I hope you all are doing well today. This is going to be another story time for you guys. Actually, this is a request from one of my favorite go-to ASMR artists, and that is Diary of a Millennial ASMR. If you are not subscribed to her channel, I definitely recommend it. Her videos are just so nostalgic, and she has a wonderful, relaxing, soft whisper voice that I love. So if you're not subscribed to her channel, I definitely recommend it. But she requested in the comment section, hold on, I'll be right back. There's probably going to be quite a few pauses during this video because they are doing road work about a mile down the road from where I live, and there are a lot of log trucks driving by. So there are probably going to be quite a few pauses during this video, but I would rather pause than you guys having to hear those loud trucks going by. But she requested in my near-death experience story time that I discuss with you guys about the time that I was in a coma, in which I do not mind at all. Actually, it's pretty therapeutic for me to talk about it. And I got my drink. I wanted to drink this from a glass for you guys, but I could not find a glass, so I got my red Solo cup. It's sweet tea, by the way. I've been craving sweet tea a lot. Like, I want some sweet tea, so to kind of paint a picture for you guys, I think my mama noticed that I think when I was 2 years old that I was getting sick a lot. I got pneumonia, I got chicken pox. You can tell by my baby pictures I always had these bags under my eyes from where I was sick all the time. And she, of course, took me to a doctor, and he just said, or she, I can't remember if it was he or she, but they said it was my tonsils being the problem of why I was getting sick all the time. And they said I needed my tonsils to be removed. I can't say it. Tonsillectomy, is that how you say it? They told her that I needed a tonsillectomy. So when I was 5 years old, I got my first tonsillectomy. I don't really remember much. I remember like the syrupy stuff they gave me for some reason to help me relax or something. That is all I remember about it. So they put me through the surgery when I was 5 years old, but then something happened that people that I talked to about it have never heard of something like this. They grew back. My tonsils grew back. To be honest, now that I think about it, I think it's because maybe where they use scalpels instead of lasers back in the day, they may have left like even just a little bit of tissue. My tonsils grew back from that tissue, and they grew back worse every time. So when I was 7, and during this time, I was getting sick all the time. I had strep, pneumonia, what else? Strep, pneumonia. I had pneumonia a good few times growing up. That's because if you've ever had tonsils, when you eat, you know, that whatever you eat gets stuck in your tonsils, and your tonsils become inflamed. It's called tonsillitis. So I was always getting tonsillitis, which led to worse things like pneumonia and the strep. And it was not fun having this. They called it irregular tonsil tissue. They said they'd never, the doctors, all my doctors said they'd never seen anything like it. Not only were my tonsils on both sides of my throat, at the back of my tongue, but they were over my tongue, down my throat, around my voice box. Like, it was insane. I actually have a picture of my tonsils before my last surgery that I had, that I was thinking of making the thumbnail for this video, just to show you guys how insanely bizarre they were. The way the doctors described them was as big as mushrooms, is what they said. My tonsils were like mushrooms, those like cut up mushrooms that you see at the grocery store. That's how they described them. They said these tonsils are as big as mushrooms. And one doctor actually said that my airway was no bigger than a pencil eraser. And I got made fun of a lot because with the tonsils, my voice was very gargled. A lot of people called me Kermit the Frog, even my own brothers. I love my brothers now, of course, but they'd be like, hey, why is your voice so, okay, Kermit the Frog. You know how brothers or siblings like to make fun of each other. I'm sure they didn't realize at the time that it hurt my feelings, but I hated my voice. The way those tonsils made my voice, it was very gargled and I got to the point where I didn't even want to talk anymore. I just got so shy and introverted. I got to the point where I hardly talked to people anymore. That's how bad it was. And so I had my second tonsillectomy when I was, hold on, I told you there's probably going to be quite a few pauses in this video. Why do I always have this drawer open, by the way? I've noticed that in a few of my videos. Sorry about that. Anyways. So I had my second tonsillectomy when I was 7. I think we were living at the beach at this time. And, you know, when you're 7, you're getting excited. You're like, oh man, I'm not going to be made fun of anymore. I'm not going to have a weird voice anymore. Like, I was really, really excited about this tonsillectomy. So I went in, they gave me the surgery, and we all thought, this is it. You know, this is the surgery that's going to solve all our problems and all her problems, and she won't be made fun of anymore for her voice, and it's all going to be over. Okay, y'all ready for this? They grew back. Again. Worse. Worse this time. Yeah. They grew back again. But during this time, as the tonsils were growing back, the doctor said that I needed to wait this time until I stopped growing, which usually happens when a woman starts her menstrual cycles. Sorry, TMI. Is when they say you usually stop growing. So I had to wait to have my surgery, a third tonsillectomy, when I was 13. But at this time, let me just say this. I had been going to church. I had said the sinner's prayer. I had gotten saved. And I was just getting these knowing feelings in my soul about this doctor that my mother was taking me to here in Virginia when we lived in this house, actually. I had this bad feeling about him always. Like, I have a core memory where he was like, I have to put one of these like scopes into your nose, and so it can look down your throat and we can check out the tissue, the tonsil tissue. And I remember it's like a core memory. Like, usually you're supposed to put people to sleep or numb their nose before you do something like that. He didn't. He just put the scope down my nose and I got choked. And I pulled it out. He was like, no, you're not supposed to do that. And I almost felt like telling him, well, you're supposed to numb my throat before you do something like that. And his name was Dr. Terrell. And I just had this feeling about him. And then a few months before my third surgery, I got baptized. And I feel like that changed everything. I was really close to my pastor. His name was John. And we were just all really close. He baptized me in the river, and I loved him so much. And so December of 2004, I got my third surgery. But that morning I woke up, it was like 5 a.m., and I started throwing up because I was so nervous. And I even asked my mother, I said, Mom, am I going to die today? I said, Mama, am I going to die? Because I just got this feeling in my soul that something bad was about to happen. She was like, no, honey, of course not. We've had this surgery before, and Dr. Terrell is a great doctor, and everything's going to be okay. You're just nervous. It's okay. But the whole way down the road, the feeling just kept getting worse and worse. But as we were going into the hospital, and it was like 6 a.m., as we were going up to check me in, we hear from behind us, are y'all going on vacation? And I turned around, it was my pastor, Pastor John, behind us. He had come to the hospital to pray for me. And he gave me a prayer cloth for me to hold. And he prayed that angels would surround my bedside and that I would be kept safe. And, they got me all ready. They put the IV in to give me the anesthesia. And then I saw the doctor, and the feeling just got worse. The feeling got so much worse. I was like, yeah, something bad is about to happen. I can feel it in my soul. And I was put to sleep, and I don't remember much, but I remember waking up one time, and at this time they had restrained me and put a breathing tube in my throat. And of course I woke up and I'm like, what is going on? And where I was restrained, I couldn't ask for help. I couldn't press a nurse's button to come and help me. So I was like fighting and was the restraints and trying to make as much noise as I could to alert somebody that I could not breathe. Oh, by the way, I also had a sleep apnea machine during this time. Yeah, I had to be on a sleep apnea machine. And I remember going on a field trip to Ripley's Aquarium in Tennessee and having to take that sleep apnea machine with me. That was tough too. That was a lot of people made fun of me over that. But when I woke up, okay, so I rewound a little bit because I forgot to tell you guys that I had to be put on a sleep apnea machine. So fast forward, I'm fighting, and then I hear a voice in my head saying, "Stop fighting. I'm not going to let anything happen to you. Stop fighting." So I stopped fighting. And I got that same feeling that I got when I was on the beach, you guys, that I'm at peace with whatever happens. Whether I live or die, I'm at peace. And as soon as I stopped fighting and was at peace with whatever happened, a nurse ran in and was like, "Oh, I didn't realize your breathing tube cut off." Yeah. And then they gave me more medicine to put me back to sleep. And I woke up again. Oh, there was one moment when I was asleep where I could hear my mother crying. I could hear my mother crying, and I remember trying to wake myself up so badly, but I was under the anesthesia, and you guys know, if you've ever been put to sleep, it's hard. And I was trying to wake myself up because I was like, why is my mother crying? And I remember her telling me, "It's okay, I'm just happy. This is happy tears. It's okay, rest." And during this whole time, she's writing in a little journal for me, so I could read back of what happened, and I could look back on it growing up and, see where God brought me from. But then I woke up fully one day and realized that was 5 days later from my initial surgery date to when I woke up. It was 5 days later. So apparently, what happened was, and this is why I can't stand the hospital here. I can't stand it. What happened was, Dr. Trail took me back for the surgery. He cut off with a scalpel on this left side, and I lost a lot of blood. I think they told me, or my mother, a pint of blood. And my mom said it was like 25 minutes after he had taken me into surgery that he came out and told my mother that he couldn't do it. He said there's too much tonsil tissue. She's going to have 3 to 5 years more worth of surgeries, that I would have to have a trach during this time. He said, "I can't do it. It's too much tissue. I'm overwhelmed. I can't do it." He didn't realize I had so much tonsil tissue, and he went in and I almost bled to death, and he came out and told my mother that he couldn't do it, that there was too much tonsil tissue. And my poor father, my mom said he got down on his knees and started crying and said, "I knew it, I knew it, I knew it." And my mother had a nurse friend that worked at the hospital, and she said, "Marie," that's my mother's name, by the way, "get her out here. Get her out of here." She said, "We barely got the breathing tube in. Get her out of here." And my brothers Mike and Stuart had come to visit me. My mom had told everybody what was going on. She had told my best friends and their family and my brothers what was going on. And my two oldest brothers, Stuart and Mikey, had come to see me. And when they were there, I coughed and was fighting the breathing tube as I was coughing. And my brother Mike, he was like, if I see that doctor, I am going to kick his ass. But my mama's friend was like, get her out of here. But she went to Dr. Terrell and she said, I'm getting my daughter out of here. I think he had told my mother she has a 20% chance of dying. I mean, I know that doesn't sound like much, but yeah, he told her, he said she has a 20% chance of dying. So she was like, not my daughter. She said, I want her out of here. So he called the Baptist Hospital, the Children's Hospital in Winston-Salem, just to check to see if there were any open beds. He did not tell them that he had an emergency patient that needed a bed immediately. He just asked if there were any beds available. And he came up to my mom again and was like, oh, well, they said there's no beds available. And she was like, no, you call them back and tell them you have a patient that is in immediate need of a bed. So he called again, and they finally said, okay, we have an open bed with Dr. Kearse. Dr. Kearse finished up my tonsillectomy, saved my life in Winston-Salem. They finished the surgery, but they had to keep that tissue on the left side where Dr. Trail had messed up and made me lose so much blood they didn't feel comfortable enough with removing it. So I had that on the left side for a pretty good long time. But Dr. Kearse was amazing. We should have went to him to begin with. But I remember when I woke up, they were like, okay, we're going to take the breathing tube out and we're going to take the tube that was in my nose out. And the first thing that I said when they took the breathing tube out was I told my mama that I loved her. That must have been the best sound she's ever heard in her life. And I think the next day was when I was strong enough to, because I was laying in bed for 5 days. I was strong enough to sit up on my own, and Dr. Kearse came to meet me, introduce himself. And you see doctors with like white coats and stuff. He came up with like a plaid shirt on and like trousers. So he came up to my doorway and he was like, well, looky here. And I was like, who the hell are you? And he was like, I'm Daniel Kearse. I'm the one that did your tonsillectomy. And I was 13 and I thought he was the cutest thing. He made me think of House from House. Because of because of Dr. Kearse, I was obsessed with House for the longest time. But I was like, thank you. I loved that hospital. Even though I'd been asleep for 5 days, I took a lot of naps during that time. And at one point I woke up and somebody had left me a Christmas present. And that was the first time that, hold on, I'll be right back. That was when my obsession with Victoria's Secret lotion started. Because I got strawberries and cream lotion from Victoria's Secret in that Christmas bag. I never found out who it was from. I think it was from the hospital. Hold on, I'm so sorry. And then my mother's boss actually got me a red hat bear, is what I called her. And I miss her. I had to leave her behind when I left my ex. But she sang Girls Just Want to Have Fun. And it was like a white bear with a red hat on. And then my mother's boss also gave her like $100. I think. I think that's what she said. She gave her $100. And my mother's work was so supportive of her during this time. It was amazing. Like, all her friends from work were calling and checking up on me. My church family at the time were calling all the time. My mother said at one point when they were about to move me from here to Winston-Salem that my pastor, and you can imagine I've got a breathing tube in, I've got one in my nose, I've got one, not colostomy bag, but oh my gosh, is that right? Colostomy bag? And I'm just covered in like tubes and everything, and they're about to take me out to put me in the ambulance to take me to Winston-Salem. And my Pastor John says, I have to kiss her. I have to give her a kiss. So he leaned down around all these tubes and everything, and he kissed my forehead before they put me in the ambulance. And I swear to God, this traffic is... He was like, I have to kiss her. I just have to. So he kissed my forehead before they put me in the ambulance. And, yeah. I was 13, you guys. I just knew. I feel like if I hadn't been baptized, if I hadn't been prayed over, that I wouldn't have had that feeling that something bad was going to happen. But 2 days after I woke up, so I was in the hospital for 7 days. 5 days I was in the coma, and 2 days I was getting better, recovering. And, and also I started the cycle when I was in the hospital. That was awful. Oh my gosh, you guys, that was so awful. Because they were trying to get me to use the bathroom so they could test my urine, and every time I thought I needed to go to the bathroom, and it wasn't to go to the bathroom, it was that. Oh God, that was so awful. Oh, I hated that. After I got out of the hospital, my mom also, the little journal that she had, she would ask me questions when I was asleep or half awake. And she would give me the notepad and the pen, and she'd say, right, are you in pain? Are you okay? Oh, and at one point, sorry, I'm not going to worry about that. At one point, they had to hyperextend my neck to put the breathing tube in, and that was at this hospital as well. They had to hyperextend my neck, and when my mother came in to check on me, I was in that position of my neck being hyperextended, and I've had neck problems ever since then. She had to be the ones to tell the doctor, hey, if y'all are done putting the breathing tube in, my daughter's neck is still hyperextended, and I've had neck problems ever since. Yeah. But that little notepad, like she said, are you okay? Are you in any pain? And I think one of the things I said was, I can't breathe. I want Bunny, which was my white chihuahua at the time. And then I also asked, are we still going to Jane's? Jane is my brother's mother, and I was worried about going to her annual Christmas party and I had written, "Are we still going to Jane's?" Wow. But I had a renewed, and my faith was renewed during that time. It was it was hard. I'm not gonna lie, especially being bullied just because you have a weird voice. You can't even help it. I couldn't help it that I had a weird voice because of my tonsils. But I had my last surgery, my fourth and final surgery in 2016. Hold on, I'm so sorry. I had my fourth and final surgery in 2016, so I was 25. And I was so nervous, you guys. I mean, you can imagine. I was looking back at when I was 13, and I was afraid the same thing was going to happen again. And I remember on the drive, it was in Charleston, and on the drive there, my mother had brought a guidepost, and we had gone to see the shack right before the surgery. And she had found a guidepost in the doctor's office. And she said, "Look, it has Sam Worthington on the cover. And he talks about how his faith was renewed when he made the shack." And usually I do not like when somebody reads to me when I'm trying to drive. But I was like, "Okay, go ahead, read it." And, in the interview, in the interview, he was just like, making that movie was amazing. The part where we're walking on water, we're really laughing in that part. And then that night, I was still very, very nervous. And it was about 10 o'clock. And, hold on. We were in the hotel room, and it was about 10 o'clock, and I turned on the TV. I said, "Let's see if there's anything on the TV that we can watch to kind of calm us down a little bit," because I'm sure my mother was as nervous as I was. But when I turned on the TV, the shack had just come on. So I was like, "Okay, God, okay, I'm going to be okay." And this time, the doctor used a laser. And I've never had problems with my tonsils again. So, that is my story time about my tonsils. Just another storm that God has brought me through with a stronger faith and love for Him. Yeah, it was hard, but it made me who I am today, so I'm grateful for it. But I'm sorry about all the pauses. I'm going to start making my videos at Jay's house. He's like, "There are no traffic noise, no nothing." And I'm like, can I start making my videos there? Anyways, but I love you guys. Diary of a Millennial, thank you so much for your request. I hope you enjoyed this video. And I love you guys. And I'll be talking to you soon. Love you guys. Bye-bye.